in a quiet neighborhood where rules are meant to keep the peace. One father's fight for his son sparked a battle no one saw coming. When an HOA president crossed the line, what began as a petty complaint turned into a viral showdown, a legal war, and a powerful movement for justice. This is the story of a former fighter, a child in need, and a community that chose to stand up. Damen Cruz had taken more hits than most men could count. Inside the cage, he had broken ribs, torn ligaments, and walked away with scars he no longer remembered earning. But none of those fights came close to the one he was about to face. After retiring from MMA, Damen didn't want applause. He wanted peace. He bought a modest home in a quiet suburban neighborhood for one reason: his son, Eli. At 6 years old, Eli already knew more about suffering than most adults. Severe asthma meant he never left the house without his emergency inhaler pouch. Damen was always near, always ready, carrying the weight of fear in his chest every time Eli coughed too hard. The neighborhood was picturesque: trimmed hedges, clean sidewalks, a community park. It all seemed perfect until Karen Whitmore introduced herself. She was the president of the Homeowners Association, armed with a smile that barely hid the sharp edge underneath. The first letter came just days after they moved in. "Your son's medical pouch violates the aesthetic guidelines of our neighborhood. Please ensure it is not visible during public hours." Damen stared at the letter, then tossed it in the trash. The second letter was firmer, the tone colder, the warning clearer. When Damen confronted Karen on her morning walk, she kept her voice calm. "It's about standards, Mr. Cruz. We can't let one exception open the floodgates." He clenched his fists. He wanted to say 1,000 things, but Eli came first. He always came first. He thought ignoring her would be enough. He was wrong. It happened on a Saturday. The sun was out. Eli was playing on the grass near the sidewalk, his inhaler pouch clipped to his waistband. Karen walked by. Damen watched from the porch as she stopped. She said something to Eli. He took a step back. She reached forward, and then, just like that, she snatched the pouch from his side. Eli coughed once, then again. The attack came fast. His knees buckled. He gasped for air, panicked. Karen tossed the pouch on the grass and turned to one of the HOA enforcers standing nearby. "It's not our responsibility to accommodate everyone," she said flatly. Damen didn't remember running. He remembered the impact. His fist connected with the enforcer's jaw before the man could blink. The second punch never came. Eli was on the ground, wheezing. Damen dropped to his knees, grabbed the inhaler and held it to his son's mouth. "Breathe," he whispered. "Come on, champ. Breathe for me." Someone recorded the entire scene. Within hours, the video was everywhere. A former MMA fighter knocks out HOA enforcer after president assaults asthmatic child. The outrage was immediate. Comments flooded in. News vans parked at the end of the street. Karen's face, once so proud and pristine, was now a symbol of something rotten, but she didn't fold. She spun the story, called it staged, claimed Damen was unstable, violent, dangerous. The HOA board backed her for a while, but then came the signs. Printed on home printers, pinned to fences, taped to car windows: "We stand with Eli," and the HOA. People began to speak out. A neighbor recalled being fined for hanging wind chimes. Another shared photos of Karen removing toys from front yards. Small injustices that had added up, now boiling over. Still, it wasn't enough. Not yet. Damen didn't want revenge. He wanted protection. Not just for his son, but for every family who had ever felt powerless. He reached out to a local journalist, a young woman named Zoe who had once written a piece on medical discrimination. Together, they dug into the HOA bylaws, past board decisions, Karen's personal records. They found discrepancies, missing funds, private security payments, and emails dozens where Karen discussed targeting specific families for neighborhood harmony. Zoe published the story. The headline was simple: "The Real Danger on Sycamore Lane." The lawsuit came next. Damen pressed charges for reckless endangerment, harassment, and obstruction of medical access. He had video evidence, community support, and now, a voice bigger than fists ever gave him, in court. Karen stood tall, dressed in her perfect suit, surrounded by lawyers. Damen wore a simple button-up. He didn't need to look strong. He only needed to be honest. He testified about Eli, about the fear, about the day a woman decided his child's survival didn't fit her version of beautiful. Karen's defense tried to shift blame, called it a misunderstanding, an overreaction, claimed the video lacked context. But when the footage played Karen's voice cold, the sound of Eli gasping in the background, the courtroom fell silent. Even Karen's lawyers looked down. The judge ruled swiftly. Karen Whitmore was found guilty of multiple counts, including child endangerment and civil rights violations. The HOA board was disbanded, the bylaws rewritten. And at the heart of it all, a new state bill was introduced, the Eli Cruz Medical Access Act. It passed within 6 months. No HOA in the state could now interfere with or restrict access to life-saving medical devices, regardless of aesthetic guidelines. But the law was only one part of the story. The bigger change happened in the neighborhood itself. The people of Sycamore Lane stopped hiding. They started talking, sharing meals, checking in on each other. What had once been a pristine silence became something louder and better community one evening. After the cameras left and the lawyers stopped calling, Damen and Eli sat on their porch. The air was warm, quiet. Eli held his inhaler in one hand and a comic book in the other. "Dad," he said softly, "do you think I'll ever have to fight someone like that again?" Damen looked at his son, his tiny, brave heart, his steady breathing. "I hope not," he said. "But if we do, we won't be alone." For the first time since moving in, silence didn't feel like a warning. It felt like peace, and this time they had earned it.